Howdy my totally tubular gamers, and we're back for another developer ranking video, and today's is going to be on Sledgehammer games. Yes, we're going to be ranking all of Sledgehammer games. Like Treyarch and Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer Games is an Activision studio known for various Call of Duty titles. They are based in Foster City, California, and were founded in 2009. And as usual, before we get to ranking these games, a little history about the studio. Sledgehammer Games was founded by Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, the director and executive producer of Dead Space and 007 From Russia with Love. The two made a proposal to Activision. They would try to replicate their success with Dead Space with a third-person spin-off of the Call of Duty franchise. Activision and shitty CEO Bobby Kotick would actually agree to this and bring the studio into the Activision fold. Sledgehammer would actually spend about 6 to 8 months working on this game, but there were other issues at Activision. See, Infinity Ward's leaders and a lot of their employees had actually left the studio due to contractual disagreements, putting Infinity Ward and Activision in a really tough situation where they did not have the staff to make Modern Warfare 3 in time. Because, you know, we have to have a Call of Duty game every single year, so Activision made a real gamble. They called on Sledgehammer Games to assist them with the development of Modern Warfare 3, to drop basically everything they had been doing for 6 to 8 months and work on MW3 with Infinity Ward. This was actually a pretty big gamble for the time, as Sledgehammer had never put out a finished product and Infinity Ward had lost a lot of their key developers. But as we all know by now, Modern Warfare 3 did come out in 2011 and was a pretty big success. After that, Sledgehammer would announce that they would become a primary developer on the Call of Duty games. Their first Call of Duty game where they were the primary developer would come out in 2014, titled Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Their next Call of Duty would come out in 2017, titled Call of Duty World War II. However, in 2018, Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey, the founders, left Sledgehammer and eventually Activision altogether. The two of them would go on to found their own game studios. Sledgehammer Games would continue to support the Call of Duty franchise as well. They would go on to assist Infinity Ward again with Modern Warfare. They would assist Treyarch and Raven Software with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. They would assist with Warzone, and they would be the primary developers for 2021's Call of Duty Vanguard. Sledgehammer would open a number of game studios all over the world and will continue to work on the Call of Duty series going forward. Now, when it comes to ranking Sledgehammer Games games, it's pretty clear that they've been primarily a second developer or just providing additional development support on the Call of Duty games. So for this list, we're going to be including every single Call of Duty game that they've provided development support to. If I only included games that they primarily developed, there would only be 3 games on this list, and I don't think that's accurate to Sledgehammer Games as a whole. So yeah, we'll be including all of the Call of Duty games that they have had any hand in. We will be ranking these games based on quality, of course, but we'll really be looking at everything. How's the campaign? How's the story? How's the multiplayer? How's the spawns? How's the side modes, whether it's zombies or spec ops or whatever it is? How's everything? Now, when it comes to personal history with Sledgehammer Games, I really don't have any. I had a job interview with them in 2021, and they didn't even get back to me after it, so there you go. And of course, let me know how you feel about this list in the comments below, if you agree, what your favorite COD by Sledgehammer is, or if you think I'm just a complete jackass. Let me know. So like, share, comment, sub. We're doing a bunch of COD videos, so sub for that. What do I think is the worst game that has Sledgehammer Games' name attached to it? Call of Duty World War II is what I believe to be the worst game Sledgehammer has developed, and it came out in 2017 and was the first Call of Duty game to be back in World War II since World at War that came out 9 years prior. And you know, when this game came out, I just had absolutely no desire to play it, and the only reason I played it was for this video. Playing through the campaign, I gotta say, it was pretty meh. The story and locations feel very generic, even for World War II, with a been there, done that way too many times. Like, this is like the most cookie-cutter, standard take on World War II that you've seen in a long time. It isn't unique at all. For the first time since really the original, you don't actually regenerate health in this game, but it doesn't really mean all that much since you can just get health from your teammates all the time. But really, I just thought this campaign was boring and not all that interesting. Nothing really stood out. The train scene is ridiculous and is just infamous for how just crazy it is. There is a good stealth mission in here. This is the best mission in the game, but otherwise, it's your very run-of-the-mill Call of Duty campaign. Despite the incredible graphics and Hollywood presentation, it just failed to interest me. I mean, it's not like the gunplay was terrible, it's just everything else wasn't really all that good. Now, when it comes to the multiplayer, there's really not a lot of people playing this, if barely anybody nowadays. And my experience with it was pretty so-so. The spawns were just terrible, at least in my experience. Create a class feels very limited to previous Call of Duties, and the weapon selection sucks. This is like way watered down World at War. World at War rips this game a new one. The supply drops and whole hub thing in this game also, where it's like Destiny or whatever, yeah, no. I don't like this. There is so much monetization as well. I know that they like kind of revamped World War II at some point, and it was allegedly way better. Well, this is all I've known, and I think this sucks. They added this war mode that is supposed to be like big team battle or something, but no, this isn't good. And then there's zombies, which isn't exciting either. We got one map, and it's not even very good. It's really just poorly designed, and it doesn't flow all that well. All the charm and life and care you'd expect to be in zombies, at least in the Black Ops games, is gone. It feels incredibly generic, stale, boring, and it just feels like they barely even tried. There's a lot of extra crap here that isn't even needed, like these Overwatch abilities. I didn't like how the loadouts were set up with like what you can get beforehand. No, I don't like this. And I don't like this game. I think it's one of the worst mainline COD games. The next game on our list is the latest Call of Duty until the next one comes out, and then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. But this game is Call of Duty Vanguard, released in 2021. Now, when it comes to Vanguard's release, I don't think I've seen a COD release with just so much apathy and so much indifference towards it. Like, a lot of people just really did not care about Vanguard. Most people that I know are even like Call of Duty diehards just skipped out on it entirely. They didn't want another World War II game. And when it comes to the setting, yeah, it is another World War II game, but I can say this. This game handles its world, characters, and setting much more interesting than World War II ever did. This game actually tries to do something different. The story is about a group of seemingly random soldiers coming together to stop the next Fuhrer, but there's more than meets the eye. The characters are good, it actually has some unique battles to it, and it doesn't feel super generic. I like how each character has an ability, and the levels actually have some good set pieces. I genuinely thought the campaign was good. I thought it was really good, actually. I was surprised with how much I liked it. Any indifference I was feeling at the start was quickly washed away, and I was actually intrigued by it. Then the indifference really came back hard when I played the multiplayer. The multiplayer in Vanguard just did not sit with me. And you know, while playing this multiplayer, I just could not get into it whatsoever. Maybe it's COD fatigue, maybe it's fatigue of shooters, but while playing this, I just immediately was like, wow, I'm bored. I don't really like this. It feels kind of like a reskin of Modern Warfare, but with World War II weapons. None of the maps particularly interested me. I thought the gunplay wasn't all that great, not even as good as Modern Warfare's. The operators are lame as shit. There's all the microtransactions that are just borderline unfinished. Some of my favorite game modes were missing. It seems like a bunch of game modes were just missing. It seems like the multiplayer's pretty much been ignored right from the get-go because of Warzone. No, multiplayer, not so good. Then there's zombies. I guess Sledgehammer was so bad at making a zombies mode in World War II that Treyarch actually has assisted Sledgehammer in the zombies mode a bit. And you know, zombies, it's certainly a mixed bag, that's for sure. It does a lot of things that a lot of diehards are going to really dislike, and it tries to do a few new things, and it has mixed results. Currently, there's only 2 maps for it, one in an Egyptian desert and the other's in a Nazi base. It's very objective-oriented, where you complete objectives to continue, and each wave progresses when an objective is cleared. You go back to a hub area to like restock basically, and then you go into the objective area, do the objective, then come back. It's a fine enough gameplay loop. I don't know if it's necessarily what I'm looking for in zombies. A lot of my favorite aspects, like the box, are just kind of neutered. I mean, the box never moves. It gives you really good shit right off the bat. And I'd say that this might be the easiest zombies mode like ever. Like, it's just stupidly easy, and I got kind of bored with it by like round 15, round 16. I could just annihilate everything. And I think that zombies gets pretty repetitive pretty quickly, and I don't think it's going to have anywhere near the replayability that any of the other games had, and I think that this is a step in the wrong direction. And you know, zombies, really, it's just there, and that's the best way to describe Vanguard. Like, it exists. It's there. It's not like one of the worst games ever. It's not even probably one of the worst CODs, but it's certainly not one of the best. And to say the game feels rushed would be an understatement. It is very, very rushed and was not ready for release at all. Really, the only truly positive I have about the game is the campaign. and it seems really silly to say, play the newest COD, but for the campaign, and that's really it. But that's how I feel about Vanguard. It's just whatever. So our next game is Call of Duty Warzone. Warzone needs no introduction. While it was originally made by Infinity Ward with Raven, every Activision studio has had a hand in Warzone, including Sledgehammer. It's a battle royale. It's one of the most popular battle royales. You already probably know what it is, and you probably already got an opinion on it. As far as battle royales go, I think it is actually pretty fun. I like it more than PUBG, and I've had more fun with it than Fortnite. I like the map. I like the mixing and matching of all these crazy weapons. I hate the interface, it sucks. I like the objectives, how you have to kill certain players or do bounties or do other objectives for money to get airstrikes, that's always fun. And getting that victory royale is oh so satisfying. But I do think it is one of the better battle royales out there. It's also free, so that helps. But the reason it's not so high on this list is because it's only that. It's just a battle royale, and I guess technically deathmatch when you're in the gallows. The game doesn't exactly have a wide appeal, but this video is dedicated to two fallen soldiers, two honorable great men that I fought in Warzone. XX Booty Eater 420 and Dookie in your mouth. This one's for you guys. You guys are the best. And hey, if you like battle royales and haven't tried Warzone for some reason, I mean, go ahead, give it a shot, but I'm sure most people have their mind made up on Warzone at this point. Alright, so our next game is Advanced Warfare, which came out in 2014, with additional work by Raven and High Moon Studios. Now, Advanced Warfare was a lot of firsts for the Call of Duty series. It was the first to be in the far, far future. Now, while Ghosts and Black Ops 2 were in the future, like, this is really far in the future. It was the first to have the advanced movement and the exoskeletons. And both of these firsts would become highly contentious in the COD series. Something that no one can deny, though, is the game's presentation. Like, it looked just amazing, was a huge step above Ghosts. So the game takes place in the mid to late 2050s and sees humankind coming to grips with cybernetics to become more powerful. There's a lot of giant mercenaries groups that act as private militias, and the leader of the biggest one is Kevin Spacey. Yep, Kevin Spacey. And in the campaign, you work for him until some stuff goes down. The story I actually thought was pretty good, despite being incredibly predictable, like right from the get-go, with very flat characters and motivations. Kevin Spacey is able to single-handedly save the entire campaign story to make it pretty decent. And so when it comes to the gameplay, for the most part, it's what you've come to expect, but the advanced movement does show up here, so you can basically double jump and you can run on walls. They were really trying to capture that Titanfall feel, only it just does not feel anywhere near as good as Titanfall. It feels like they had a basic grasp of the movement and just kind of left it at that. It doesn't feel like they really went all in on it. And this issue would never really go on to be fixed in any of the CODs. When it comes to advanced movement, it just always feels pretty half-assed, and it feels like the devs put it in just because it was the trend. The campaign doesn't even really use it all that well. There's really nothing all that interesting. There's a couple cool parts, sure, but nothing like great. Campaign was just alright. As for the multiplayer, when I first played it, I thought it was pretty decent. As I played more of it, I realized that the advanced movement really just kind of messes up the whole Call of Duty multiplayer. Maybe it's just me, but I don't like how everyone's jumping all over the place, running on all the walls, and you can still play this like a normal COD game, but good luck trying to beat anyone when everyone's going crazy. I get it, they wanted to create something a little different with the multiplayer. It's just a shame that I don't think it's very good, and I don't like it. There's also a ton of microtransactions in this multiplayer, and it's borderline pay to win, so that's never good. And then we have Exo Survival, which is just survival from MW3 with the exosuits. Cool. It's not that great, and it is pretty mindless. They even have a zombie variant, but that's DLC, and I'm not buying no DLC for this game. I'd say Advanced Warfare is a mixed bag and would honestly go on to be pretty forgotten, especially amongst the future Call of Duty games. I just don't really recommend it. Alright, our next game is Modern Warfare 2019, which was primarily developed by Infinity Ward, but Sledgehammer did come in to assist as well. Modern Warfare 2019 was really when Call of Duty went back to what made Call of Duty so popular in the first place, which is boots on the ground, boots on the ground. They really just went back to the roots of Modern Warfare with a really shocking, realistic, gritty, frankly somewhat disturbing campaign that goes through a lot of different serious issues that are in the world, especially when it comes to war, with a pretty boots on the ground multiplayer that's just good old Call of Duty as you remember it, and Spec Ops. The campaign was quite good. I would say it's the best campaign since Black Ops 2, and really is just about a couple characters teaming up with Price to fight terrorists. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. You're just fighting terrorists, and these people are really messed up. You get to even see some of their origin stories. You get to see these resistance fighters in the Middle East and see their origins as well, and some really messed up sequences where you kill people as a little girl, you survive waterboarding. The campaign's actually quite good. The missions at night, especially where you clean the house out, are very well done and are worth playing the campaign for the night missions alone. And while the campaign is obviously very edgy, I feel like it was done in a way that was different from the old MWs, and it feels like it was kind of trying a little too hard. I mean, at one point where the bad guy just shoots a child, I mean, come on now. When it comes to the multiplayer, it's really what you expect from Call of Duty at this point. When it comes to the multiplayer, it's really what people wanted from Call of Duty, which was really just a return to form how it was back in the older days of the 360, and yeah, it feels pretty close to that. The Pick 10 system is gone, and now we have the Gunsmith, which is actually pretty cool and allows for some really great customization. A lot of the game modes you know and love are here. The maps, I'm not so keen on, but the toxicity is about what you would expect. It's about 360 levels. It's not MW2 levels, but yeah, pretty toxic.
I'll slap your bitch ass, nigga.
That nigga is skinny as fuck.
Slap your bitch ass.
You sound fat as fuck.
Yeah, nigga, you wish
Your
I was
boy
fat.
sounds fat as fuck. Nigga, your boy Leak sounds fat.
Questionable spawns aside, I mean, the multiplayer is that more classic Call of Duty experience that you got on the 360. It's more along the lines of the older Modern Warfares. And then we have Spec Ops, which I'll just be real, is trash. Like, it's not really well designed. It's kind of just a survival mode. You need multiple people. It's brutally difficult if you don't have multiple people. And I couldn't get anyone to play with me because everyone was like, Spec Ops. Spec Ops wasn't even great in MW2 and 3. It's terrible in the new one. So there you go. But the new Modern Warfare, yeah, I mean, if you like the older Modern Warfares, you're going to like this one. But everyone else, they probably already got their own opinion on it. Speaking of Modern Warfare, here we have MW3. Now, Sledgehammer was actually almost the primary developer on MW3 in a very interesting story that they really were two teams together. It was Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer to make MW3 in a timely manner. And yeah, I'd say that MW3 is pretty good. It really follows MW2's footsteps and feels very similar to MW2 in a lot of ways. It feels the same, controls the same, the guns feel the same way, but they really just tried to refine and improve MW2 in a few different ways. The campaign takes place right after that shocking ending of MW2 that's pretty iconic and has everyone going after Makarov. There's a lot of good set pieces. The last set piece in particular with Price, that's pretty good. That's one of my favorites in the series. But yeah, actually playing through the campaign, it is very similar to MW2, and I'd actually say it is one of the better campaigns in Call of Duty series. I think there's a lot of good set pieces, I think there's a lot of interesting parts, and the story, yeah, it's actually good, and it's a decent end to the MW trilogy. Now, when it comes to the multiplayer, it feels very similar to Modern Warfare 2, and it is very similar to Modern Warfare 2. The big primary concern was balancing, and they actually balanced MW3 very well, I think. I think that it was much more balanced than MW2. I liked the maps, and this game was the game in the series to introduce Kill Confirm, which is one of my favorite game modes in all of Call of Duty. And yeah, I thought the multiplayer was just actually a good time. Then Spec Ops returned, and it was pretty much the same. They added a new survival mode, though, which I thought was fun. You get kill streaks, and it's kind of like zombies, I guess, but with soldiers and you're killing them. I mean, I thought this was fun for the time. Coming back, not so sure nowadays, but yeah, it was generally a good time. I think MW3, I know it got a lot of flack when it came out because it wasn't as good as MW2 or whatever, and the spawns kind of suck, which they do. But aside from that, I still think MW3 is actually a good game and was almost unfairly criticized. People were very sick of Call of Duty when this came out, though, so there is that to take into consideration. But yeah, MW3 is actually one of Sledgehammer's better games. But I don't think it's Sledgehammer's best game. I think the best game that has their name attached to them is Black Ops Cold War, which was primarily developed by Treyarch. However, there was additional support by Sledgehammer and Raven Software. In fact, Raven and Sledgehammer were supposed to be the primary developers until it wasn't really working out. So then Treyarch came in as the primary and they became secondary. And yeah, I think this is the best game that Sledgehammer's name really is with. I think Cold War is actually a good game and gives me hope for the Call of Duty series. It's probably the only game in the last decade that doesn't make me go, huh, I think Call of Duty's better days are behind them, because Cold War actually has a lot going for it. I think it has one of the better campaigns of the entire franchise. I think the multiplayer, while tired, I mean, it's fine enough, and zombies, I quite like zombies. The campaign is pretty unique. It does take a few cues from Black Ops 1 and 2, but it actually connects back to Black Ops 1 and 2, something that 3 didn't do at all. It obviously takes place during the Cold War and has you teaming up with Mason and Woods, and they might have different voice actors, but it's Mason and Woods again, and you team up with them. You take on some communists or would-be communist/terrorists. Yeah, there's a lot of secretive stuff going on here. There's some brainwashing. There's some callbacks to the old game. I really liked the story, actually. I thought it was really well done. There's a lot of twists and turns, and by the end of it, I barely even knew where it was going to go next, but then I was actually pretty surprised with where it went, and yeah, I think it was very good. It's one of the best campaigns Call of Duty's had in forever. You actually get to make choices again, which is nice. There isn't different endings, but you get to make choices, adding some replayability. There's some side missions you can even do, and the campaign was a little longer than the average. It was like 6 or 7 hours. And playing through it is a nice time. It's pretty kick-ass. There's some good set pieces in there. When you're in Vietnam, I think it's cool and it's pretty unique. And yeah, I really did like the throwbacks to the older Black Ops games. I mean, that's always nice. And then we have the multiplayer, which I don't think is as good. The multiplayer honestly just feels tired, and it feels like been there, done that a couple times now. And I just kind of got bored with it rather quickly. There's just nothing really different here. It just feels like more MW multiplayer, but with Black Ops maps. I mean, they even have a ton of Black Ops 1 and 2 maps come back. Like, it just feels like I've done this so many times. I've played this multiplayer so many times on these maps even, that I just kind of want to go back to the old ones where it was more fresh and just felt more fun. Like, I just kind of dropped it really quickly because I was like, it's just kind of the same old Call of Duty. There's no new modes. There's no new anything, really. I mean, even MW 2019 felt more fresh than this. Then you have the matchmaking, which is like skill-based, which is very contestable amongst the Call of Duty faithful. I think it's kind of BS and kind of stupid, where I'll be doing just fine or even great in one match and just get destroyed the next one because I did okay in that last one. Not my cup of tea at all. But despite that, Zombies is actually good. I'd say Zombies is really good. It's the best Zombies since Black Ops 2, and it really brings the package back together because I have had only good times with Zombies in this game. I know it doesn't support every playstyle and really gives a more run and gun one, especially now that the Zombies really rock health bars, and it's all about now pack-a-punching your weapon a bunch of times to make it stronger and get new attachments and all that, but I really like this loop. I actually thought it was quite fun. I think the maps are pretty well designed for the most part. You actually get like 5 of them. You don't just have like one. You don't have to buy a bunch of DLC. Sure, not all the maps are great. There's a stinker in there. But the core gameplay is absolutely there. It's totally still fun, and you get to pack a punch a weapon a bunch of times. I mean, how is that not a blast? There's actually a fair amount of customization, and this game has the exfil, so you can actually just evacuate and leave if you want to get away with all your points. Or you can try to hold out as long as you can, like classic Zombies. I thought these were good additions for Zombies, and I'd say that this is way better than anything Sledgehammer made by themselves. I'd say Black Ops Cold War is the best Call of Duty in the last decade. Modern Warfare 2019 was good too, but both have a common theme in that they weren't developed primarily by Sledgehammer. It's pretty obvious if you couldn't tell from this ranking list that the games Sledgehammer made by themselves, they ain't so great. They're pretty mediocre to bad. Whether it was time constraints or working from home in COVID or who knows what, I think Sledgehammer works much better as a secondary developer rather than a primary developer. As this list has shown, all of the top games, they were not a primary developer. And you know, I'm not totally going to knock Sledgehammer. I mean, it's probably not all of their fault. I mean, I'm sure Activision has a big hand to play in this when they're trying to push games out every year. I'm sure all of them have been rushed, so there is that to consider. And there are some positives with the games they primarily developed. I mean, they all look amazing. I can give them that. Their art is incredible. So there is that at least. But yeah, as this list shows, their best games are the ones when they're not the primary developer, which is very interesting. But I'll leave your judgment up to you. I hope everyone has a nice day. Comment bricks down below if you made it this far. And yeah, I'll see everyone later. So have a good one. Bye-bye.